It's lights out, and welcome back, everybody, to the Low Downforce podcast, the Forefront Formula One podcast. And it's true, you have all four of us here tonight. You have myself, Ben, you have Josh, Matt, and J9. We are ready to go. I don't know if I want to say refreshed. We're just at the beginning of the season, but we just had our first week off, which is probably needed because we are about to start a triple header. You thought the double header was insane. The triple header will be even crazier, and we are headed to one of the premier races of the year. It's fan favorite, it's driver favorite. It is, of course, the Formula One Lenovo Japanese Grand Prix. Earlier in the season, for the second year in a row, to incorporate the cherry blossoms, which we might talk about a little bit because one of the teams has a cherry blossom livery that looks pretty sexy. But there's one much, much bigger piece of news that we got to talk about before we get into the actual race weekend preview, and that is just in time for Yuki Tsunoda's home race in Japan. Red Bull have, maybe I'm throwing my bias in here, have inexplicably replaced Liam Lawson after 2 races and put Yuki Tsunoda in the seat. So without further ado, I'm sure we've all got a lot to say about it. Let's jump to you, Matt, first. How do you
honestly,
break this down?
Well, so in my opinion, I thought Yuki should have gotten the seat in the first place. But then to go 2 races into the season, it's like, what's the point? Why did you even make a big deal about putting Liam in? Why not give the confidence to Yuki? And
well, now you've just obliterated, like you said, you've just obliterated Liam's confidence.
Yeah, and I think everybody has trouble with this car except for Max. So I think Yuki may have even been better off for this race in his V-Carb, something he's more comfortable in for his home race, but I don't know. That's just me.
I said all the way back on March 21st on X at LDF Josh. Go follow. Nice little plug right there.
How many followers?
I don't know.
Don't worry, we're growing.
Yeah. I said, given how bad the second seat at Red Bull is, I think Yuki is in a better car at RB right now. And, I think I think it's maybe a mistake for him to be switching over to Red Bull because that car has been so challenging for every second driver to have. So I'm happy he gets the special moment for his home race, but I would not be so surprised if Liam Lawson outperformed him in a worse car.
Yeah, I'm disappointed for Liam because I don't think they really gave him enough time to adjust to that car. And I think it's such a unique car to get adjusted to. You're not getting adjusted to like a Haas, like the Red Bull car. And I think it's going to take a lot more time. Now, did he really fuck up? Yeah, he kind of did. But I say give him a little bit more time. He also is still considered kind of a rookie. And I feel like the timing's weird. You had Sergio Perez in there for the entire season, fucking up consistently. And after 2 races, you're like, that's it. We're moving on to the next person. Like something just seems weird and off.
I think pretty much every Formula One Red Bull post or related to Red Bull, the top comment is like, I owe Checo Perez an apology because Checo was bad. Liam Lawson, double P20 in qualifying. It's really, really not good. But it really has me wondering, what the decision criteria was. Because we've all been saying, even since last season, Yuki deserved the spot. Yuki had a great season last year. He's been within the Red Bull family for 4 years then, on his 5th year now. But everybody has. Checo struggled. Before him, Pierre Gasly struggled. Before him, Alex Albon struggled. Nobody could run toe-to-toe with Max or even really be that close. But
that being said, also, Yuki Tsunoda beats every teammate he's had. So both Max and Yuki have pretty much beaten everybody they've gone up against. And now they're going to be going against each other. And Max will obviously have the advantage because he's used to the car. But it'll be interesting to see where Yuki really is.
It makes me wonder so much what the criteria is because if you were going for experience, you would go with Yuki over Liam. If you were going for funding, you would go with Yuki over Liam. Because apparently, this is one of the crazy things. We all know that they're all rich boys in Formula One, but it's not just that. You have to almost pay your way it's not even good enough anymore that you're just a good driver unless you're truly exceptional. You have to have some good sponsorship backing, which apparently Liam didn't. Yuki is backed by Honda. And so
Right.
it's like the only thing I can think of is like, oh, they must have thought like Liam like either had a higher ceiling or his driving style suited the car more, but it clearly doesn't because you literally can't do worse in that car, which I know is harsh. And in some ways, maybe it's good for Liam to regain his confidence at VCarb. Like, it's not like Daniel Ricciardo getting kicked out last year where he's just gone from the sport. Like, Liam is just swapping roles. He still gets to drive and rebuild his confidence. But I'm wondering, and not a lot of people have been talked about this, but part of me is wondering, because even if you're bad, 2 races isn't enough to really prove it, especially when one of the races is a pouring down race and the other one is a sprint weekend on a track Liam had never driven on. Is part of me wonders if they're having so much trouble with the car, if they're very quickly realizing that Liam is so fresh in the sport that he can't provide good mechanical feedback on what to improve in the car. Whereas Yuki, with some experience, can at least, even if the car doesn't suit him great, can be like, oh, I'd rather this or rather this. But then it goes back to my original argument is, why didn't you just put Yuki in the car in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, I really do think I've seen some different clips about, how Yuki does on his throttle and his steering. And I do think his driving style will suit the car, but it's just coming after a really strange decision like we talked about with Red Bull. And then even Horner had his doubts, right? I mean, I think he said something along the lines of, you can't be the bridesmaid forever, 5 years in the junior team. He basically was saying that like this is Yuki's last chance for.
I like that
V-car.
he's saying that when he has like control over whether or not Yuki gets promoted.
Exactly.
Yeah, like he's been the bride every time.
But we will see. Before we get into the race, actually, Josh, I like your comment earlier saying like Liam might be in the better car for Japan for Yuki's home race. I think back though a little more where like in the long term, I think Yuki might struggle with the car as everyone has. But if you think about like Ollie Behrman had a rough first race of the year, but when he had to get last minute thrown into the car for Ferrari, he did really well. And for Haas, he did really well. Like, part of me almost wonders if, it could be Yuki's last year in the sport, which means this is his last home race. It'll be his only one in the top team. Like, it's almost so sudden and new that he might just, like, leave the expectation and, like, fear at the door and just, like, kind of like a prove it moment, go all out for this race. And I mean, what better place to do it than in front of all your fans? But before we get into our predictions, how we think Yuki as well as others might do this week, we've obviously got to set up the weekend in proper fashion, which of course brings us to Matt's track facts. You know it, you love it. What do you have for us coming from Suzuka?
This is the Suzuka circuit. It's a permanent track in Suzuka, Japan, and this is a cool one. It's designed by Dutch engineer John Hugenholtz back in 1962 and has held a race outside of COVID every year since 1987. One really cool thing about Suzuka is it's the only figure 8 layout still in F1. There were some prior tracks that were figure 8s, but essentially the track goes over itself. It's got an overpass or an
Not
underpass,
Mario Kart
however
style.
you want to see it.
Not like risk of hitting cars going opposite you. It's over and under.
Exactly, and it's been an iconic scene. Lewis has the fastest lap here back in 2019 at 1 minute 30 seconds and some change, 0.983 if you're being exact. And he also has the most wins at this track of all current drivers, but Max has poled and won here at the last 3 races. So keep that in mind as we're going into this. The track is 5.8 kilometers or 3.6 miles long for 53 laps, resulting in 307.5 kilometers or 191 miles. It's a really high-speed technical circuit with S-curves. If you go look at a map, like this is a crazy circuit. Not only is it the figure 8, but there's S-curves, the Degner curve. It goes right before that underpass is a very precise turn. You've got cool names like Spoon and 130R that take a lot of commitment from the drivers, and it's going to be tough on tires, aero balance, and driver fitness. We'll see the C1 to C3 tires here. So for anyone who hasn't caught up on F101 or doesn't know that much about F1 yet, the softest tires here are the same tires as the hardest tires in Australia. And we're going to see a lot of tire dag and tire management being crucial to team success here. There is, per F1.com, a 67% chance of a safety car or a 50% chance of a VSC per what they had put out in 2024. And there is a chance of rain. It looks like it's going to come after the race, but keep your eyes peeled, keep your a finger on the pulse with the forecast, because we could see another rainy race here.
We can't just have like a normal dry non-sprint weekend where everybody can definitively say, oh, this car or this team is faster than this team. We're still like,
no, we don't want that, because then McLaren would most definitely be the fastest.
Two of us would love that.
Right.
But I think a lot of questions certainly will be answered. Like I said earlier, like you were alluding to, Matt, like this is most drivers' favorite track of the year. So they love showing up. They love showing out. And speaking of those who have showed out previously, J9 coming through with a little bit of a track flashback.
Yeah, this race last year was really interesting. It was a continuation of what happened right at the beginning of the season, where Red Bull just dominates. So as much crap that we gave Perez 10 minutes ago, you had a Verstappen, Perez 1-2. And this was really the dominance of Red Bull. Verstappen had come back from DNF in Australian Grand Prix, like the race before. So we were all like, oh no, what's going to happen? But no, he just came back really strong, got that first place along with Perez and Sainz at third. What did happen at the beginning of the race, which is why probably, Matt, you have a higher percentage of a red flag, was that last year there was a collision right at the beginning with Williams' Alex Albon and RB's Daniel Ricciardo at turn 3. So lights went out. They started racing. 30 seconds later, boom, collision, red flag. And so we had just a big first lap collision, really caused a scene where they had to repair the barriers. So that meant everyone had to go back to the pits. And that's just a terrible start to a race. So I'm hoping that this season we're going to have a better race right at the beginning, but we could see a red flag. So that's interesting. Matt, I love how you talked about the tires, because last year there was definitely a big emphasis on tire strategy, when to pit, when to not, specifically with Leclerc and Sainz within the same team. One had a 1-stop, the other had a 2-stop. And you actually saw that throughout the race, Sainz, who had a 2-stop strategy, he wound up getting above Leclerc and beat him for third place. So I'm interested to see if something like that's going to happen again. And other teams also face that same situation with different tire pits and at different times and different numbers. So that's definitely going to be a big, crucial part of this track. I think this is going to be a really strong midfield, especially with, as we talked about, Yuki and Lawson switching. We've had a really good show out between Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes. They've been all through the I want to say like upper midfield. So I'm really intrigued about who's going to win and pull through, and who we're going to see kind of, will others come from the bottom? Aston Martin, will they have an impact? Specifically Fernando Alonso, he had a really good race last year. He got in 6th place. So there was a lot of fighting in the midfield last year. Fernando Alonso, George Russell, Oscar Piastri. So I'm interested to see if those names will come back and win some solid points.
I think you mean strong midfield battles like Ferrari, Williams, and Aston Martin fighting
Get out of here. Yeah. Get out of here.
Bold state. I didn't say it, Josh.
I know.
But speaking of Fernando Alonso, if there's another video worth checking out from this track, 130R, Matt was talking about it earlier. Fernando Alonso, I believe it was, hit the turn in mid-race flat out, and it was like a groundbreaking thing for Formula One cars' speed and engines and all of that. But it's pretty exceptional, both a watch and a listen. So check that out. Also, definitely worth a watch is our very own Predictors Championship standings. Not for me though.
Yeah, well, actually not for anybody except for me. So I have a point to bring up. I wasn't here to defend my case during China. My hot take for that race was a collision between teammates. The Ferraris bumped each other. Are we counting that?
Nah,
No.
because I would argue Charles was faster with the broken wing, so I'm saying Lewis helped him.
Come
that was
on.
planned.
That's got to count. Matt,
I mean,
you're into
you
it.
never specified that anyone would DNF.
Did you
I've
mean
gotta
though,
say
like
that they-
truly though? Did you
they
mean though that it was
collided
going to
by
be like
definition.
They
more?
collided.
Did you mean though that it was like when
That's
you
not
said
what I
it that it was
said.
going to be more catastrophic?
I
I'm gonna go
didn't-
no because it didn't really affect the race.
It did.
Well,
He had to
also,
win.
like-
No, they both DNF'd, so it
Really
doesn't
a
matter.
hot take. That's not a hot take if they're just like kind of hitting each other, but like
Absolutely a
not
hot
really
take.
because it didn't really affect anything. Like that doesn't. I don't think that qualifies as like collision.
points?
Like
1.5
how you
points?
said it in a hot take scenario.
1.5
Then,
points.
then to me, that's like a mild salsa, and that doesn't really count.
It also did not affect the results at all because both cars were disqualified. So the collision really had no impact.
Wait,
So
so
I'm
the collision is disqualified. That's it.
One
Yeah,
and a
it's
half
actually
points.
Ferrari's engineers taking out both
Okay,
of their
let's stop
drivers.
playing games here. Let's stop playing games.
Well, we might have a tiebreaker. I don't know if it's going to be up to the listeners, but I
Josh
still
doesn't
think
get a
by
vote in
definition.
whether his counts.
All right. We're going for the YouTube watchers. We're gonna thumbs up,
Oh.
thumbs down it right now. So on 3, 1, 2, 3. Josh, you don't get a vote, bro.
Oh, look at that! I got two thumbs
well,
up on my screen.
If Josh doesn't get to vote, then I guess I lose 2-1.
Oh, that's horrible.
Nah.
No, this is so unfair.
Josh doesn't get a vote on
Well,
anything.
it might not. I'm gonna fight this all season, especially if it's a close predictor.
We're Michael
battle.
Massey.
Get the listeners to
but-
back you.
Anyways, I got three picks right last week last race because I had Piastri 1, Norris 2, and Science 10, and none of you got anything right. So I'm now in the lead
Yay.
at 8. Matt followed behind in 6th, J9 in 4th, and Ben, you're just sorry in last place right now. So
Wait, you
This
said
guy-
I'm in fourth, but then Ben's last?
you have 4 points. You
I
have 4 points.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sick.
Are you happy
So-
then that both Ferraris disqualified so that Sainz could get you that point in the Predictors Championship?
They
Ooh.
collided, which caused some issues, which caused Hamilton's plank wear. Maybe not really, but let's go with it. So the collision really is what happened.
I don't think so.
Moving on.
But moving
Well,
on.
we got some
Let's
picks
make
to
some
make
predictions.
For,
Moving on.
hey,
You're
we're
done.
all going to redeem ourselves here.
It is a normal race. There's not a sprint race, so a few fewer categories to predict. But yeah, enough looking at the races of past. Time to look for the race of most coming up. I think that's grammatically iffy. But of course, before we get into our race predictions, we have to make our pole position prediction, which Josh, head full of steam right now. Fired up about Ferrari. Is he making a Ferrari pick on pole?
No, of course not. There's one car that's clearly the fastest, and it's gonna be Oscar Piastri. I thought I wrote down Lando Norris, but I'm a Lando Norris hater, so I must have gone for Oscar. He had a great last race. I think he's gonna stick with it.
I think the two papaya cars are going to be trading off all season. I've gone back to Lando for this race, and yeah, you're right, fastest car.
I've done the same. I think Lando loves this track, wants to show out. And he also realizes can't let Oscar win every qualifying battle, so he's going to take one back.
I'm going to be different. I'm going to go, because I also had Lando, but I just don't really want to
This feels like an on-the-spot
right
being
now.
different.
Yeah, it is. Because I'm not going to say the same thing. That's boring. Our listeners don't want boring shit, okay? I'm going Verstappen. I think he's going to come back. I think he's pissed off, number one. Especially because George Russell beat him. I don't think he's very happy about that. Number two, he won this last year. He's won this for the past few years. He's got to, salvage his name right now. And three, he's pissed. Number one, number three, he's pissed. So I think that's really going to show in his driving style, in the way he approaches the track. Obviously, he's successful here. I'm going to go Verstappen.
We will have to wait until Saturday at the wee hours of 2 a.m. on the East Coast
Don't
of the
worry,
U.S.
I'll be up.
to see if that's true. I might be up as well. We'll find out. But heading on to Grand Prix Sunday, which is at 1 a.m., so not much better, but a little bit better. Before we get into our winner, of course, we got to round out the entire podium. Coming right back to you, J9, third place starting off. Who do you have?
Third place. This was a tough one because I think that there are so many names in here. but I'm actually going to go Leclerc on this. I think Ferrari's going to come back, hopefully fixing their issues. Again, I think this one's kind of like, I'm going to be a little spicier in my takes right now. I'm going to go Leclerc in third.
I'm glad somebody on this podcast is optimistic about Ferrari, because
You're
me
welcome,
as a
Josh.
Ferrari fan, I am not optimistic about Ferrari. This
Oh.
team stinks. I've got Max Verstappen in P3.
I
He's
just
done
don't
really
think
well
that
here.
team stinks. I just don't think that's accurate. Hamilton won the sprint last week.
Yeah, but then what did they do during the actual race when it
No,
mattered?
but he actually, like, they didn't do poorly. Besides the disqualification.
Besides them crashing into each other?
They didn't have to pick.
Anyways,
I'm just saying.
I've gone Max because I think he's the best non-McLaren, and I've picked 2 McLarens ahead of him.
I've done the same
Because they're
thing.
faster.
I've gone with Max because, like, yeah, we've talked plenty of times in this episode. His history shows that he's dominant here. It's one of those things similar to the beginning of last year, while questions are still being answered, while teams are still making their first changes to their car. Like, we're seeing one team out front and other teams trying to catch up. So I feel like, yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a papaya party until further information comes in.
I also have Max at P3 for all the above stated reasons, but maybe there's some attrition here that helps him out. I don't know if he's got even the second fastest car or third fastest car, but he's got one heck of a mental drive, and he's not performed that great this season.
That's fair. Well, I've put Verstappen at 2.
Not bad.
He's got it. I think he's got it. I am calling it now. Last season, we were all set, especially from this race, that Red Bull was going to stay on top. They had the fastest car. They have the best driver. They're going to win, and everything's going to be Red Bull. And then we were all wrong. And so I don't believe that Papaya is going to stay fully on top this season. I do think that they'll probably win, but I don't think that they're going to win every race, and it's going to be consistently Lando or Piastri getting first and second place. I don't think it's going to be as consistent as we all think it will be right now. We can't judge a season based off of the first few races.
I do think it's going to be Lando and Piastri at the front in that order. That's my P1 and P2 right there.
So just for clarity, you're going P2 Oscar.
P2 Oscar, I have him falling off pole, Norris passing him, getting the win.
I've done
Keeping
the
the race
same.
tight.
I'm not falling off pole, but I've had Oscar in second. It's just, that's the other thing that's really interesting. We talk about, we haven't gotten a normal week yet. So if the rain does stay off, this might be our first glimpse at, like, J9, you throwing into question, like, is McLaren all that? Like, in a normal kind of no surprises race, what's their advantage look like? I think right now they still have at least a little bit of one, so I've gone Oscar and P2.
And I'm going to have to agree with the gentleman here. Looks like we've all got the same podium, so we're
Like,
going to make or
women
break
are
it
bold.
together.
Means
You
I
know,
make up no
We're-
ground in the Predictors Championship.
We're at the boring part of, like, this was like the beginning of last season also, where we just predicted Max to win every race, and like 2 and
That's what
3
I'm
were
saying.
usually the same. And
I feel like it's
we
it's
need
just
Papaya
like,
to fall off, otherwise we're gonna keep picking the same 3 guys.
I don't think it's even like Papaya falling off,
No.
although that's like what the formula needs, but it's just like we just don't have enough information. There hasn't been like kind of a wrench in the plan to make you think otherwise. So yeah, I've
Yeah.
I
gone
don't think
Lando.
that there was
Well-
a wrench in the plan last year when Verstappen fell off.
Well,
It's
McLaren
true.
car got
That's
really
fair.
good.
Minor. It's just
Well-
like every race, like anything can happen. Like
It's
Ferrari,
true.
like suddenly
That's true.
having disqualifications.
It's true,
like,
but I think I
But-
was still like Miami last year, which is I think like race 6 was the first. Like obviously it was Lando's first win, but that was when, for the first time, people were like, "Oh, Red Bull is not going to be as dominant as they were last year." And I think I still picked Max that race because I didn't have any other information to tell me. But
Yeah.
I said
Well,
Lando first, which is interesting. That would mean, if you count the sprint, if that's true, 4 for 4, the first 4 point scoring events, the pole position wins the race, which I wish I could say that that's the most exciting, but I like it as a McLaren fan, but as a neutral fan, we certainly want a little more battling going on at the front of the grid.
Oh yeah, and one thing, just as a quick note, I think it was Helmut Marko saying this, but maybe it was somebody else on the Red Bull team. They're not bringing any major upgrades until after this triple header. I do think that they're going to close the gap, but nobody, I think, except for Haas is bringing upgrades to Suzuka. So that's what I think will start to shake up the order and maybe not let McLaren stay up front, but it's just too early.
I would say the only upgrades we're really seeing, I hinted at it earlier, Haas is rocking a cherry blossom covered, pink covered livery. Not as much as an Alpine is decked out in pink, but a lot of accents there. And we have yet to see it at the time of recording, but Red Bull is also dropping an all white, all red for Japan livery, which people are just saying, oh, they're just trying to look like the V-carb and then run 4 V-carbs in this race. So everybody looks good.
I did hear they were thinking of running a pink car, but it would have been too heavy. So that would have been awesome for the cherry blossoms, but the all-white Red Bull, the white bull, as they say, would look very nice.
But it seems like, Jaina, just confirming, you went Lando as well to win the race?
Yeah.
So we are all locked in with the same winner, but one prediction that we know we will probably, or I hope we have different answers, is P10 the final point prediction. Hopefully there's a little more diversity. Josh, why don't you kind of shake up the bin, pull the name out of the hat?
Yeah, so I think the big storyline the entire weekend is going to be Yuki and Liam Lawson, right? And Yuki, if he performs, he'll be up there. If he doesn't perform, he could be right around that 10 spot, but I think Liam Lawson is actually going to end up in that 10 spot. I think he's going to have a much easier time driving the RB than he did the Red Bull, and I still think he's talented. He obviously is in Formula One for a reason. And so I think he's going to drive his way into the points.
I've actually gone Behrman for this one. I think he has looked good, but then also not good at the same time. But again, we really haven't had a normal race. And so I think that he comes with a lot of strength. But I think some of those like upper midfield drivers, including Russell and Leclerc, Hamilton, I think Fernando Alonso might have a good shot at getting into some points there. I think that there are too many really strong drivers. I think Yuki's going to do really well. So I have Behrman at 10th because I just see him as like a really solid midfielder.
Yeah, I've gone our boy Daddy's Money, Lance Stroll. 3 races in a row with points for him.
I said we got to give him a little respect. We call him Daddy's Money, but he's actually balling out so far this year.
He's doing well. I mean, was it 6th and 9th or 6th and 8th that he's gotten so far? And it's not anything incredibly. It's not my hot take, obviously.
I mean, he's outscoring Charles Leclerc. So,
I mean, he's scored points in every race because he's scored points, I'm pretty sure, in the sprint also. So every point scoring session that there has been, he's performed.
Yeah. I think people are going to start to come up that order, and he's going to start dropping down unless there's some good upgrades once Newey gets the hands on the car. But yeah, why not? Maestro.
Hey, we're all going 4 different drivers, 4 different teams. So looking good with a little bit of diversity after our podiums look pretty similar. I've gone Pierre Gasly. I feel like, Alpine are the only team who have yet to score so far, but it's not, to me at least, it doesn't look like a Kick Sauber of last year where they're just well off the back. They haven't made the best decision. I don't think their car is spectacular by any means, but they've been just out of the points. Like, they definitely are just looking for one strategy call, one good overtake on track to really kind of turn their fortunes. So I'm looking for it to be Pierre Gasly to get it first and put all 10 teams on the board. Which means it is time for J9. I'm going to pass it to you. I normally take this one, but it's the best prediction of the night.
I have to talk about my Mercedes team. And I'm so proud of Kimi. I really am. It's just, I'm so proud. My hot take is that Kimi gets top 5 yet again. I think he has had such strong driving. I know that this is like a very spicy take because of what I just said earlier of like really strong midfielders. But I think that he's got it. And for some reason, I just like have this feeling that he's going to do better than Hamilton, potentially Leclerc. I think he's just had some solid driving, and this will be his first time on this track, but I think it's going to go really well. And I'm really excited to see him have the speed of the Mercedes car. I think Russell's really shown us that so far, and Kimi has as well. So I'm psyched for this. I think he's going to do well, and if it rains, he's going to do even better. Spicy, picante. Next, Josh, we're going to you.
Well, I don't even think that one's that crazy. I think to some extent we've we've been
All right, Mr.
Not that-
Collision Man. All
yeah,
right.
not that we've
It's-
been
it's not
discrediting
spicy.
Mercedes, but Mercedes has had very good finishes the entire season, and they're probably like solidly the second best car right now. So I think I'll give you the hot take because there's still a lot of good
I
drivers.
feel like I'm cool
that
with
should
it,
finish
but
ahead of him.
if Kimmy pulls it off again, then it's like that's no
more
longer a hot
Kimmy.
take.
Yeah,
yeah.
You
Yeah,
got to
that's
pick him
fair.
top
That's
2.
fair. We're still at the beginning of the
I mean,
season.
and
Yeah.
I would say we say like it's not crazy. This is this dude's 3rd Grand Prix we're coming up on, and
He's a beast.
But like, I mean, we've seen it. We've
He's
talked
great.
about it before, Josh. Like in so many sports, people get hyped up as wonder kids, and when you have that much pressure, you're not like the odds of actually panning out aren't that high. And so far, Kimmy is checking the boxes, which is impressive, and I think it's good for the sport.
I'll go with another rookie, Fernando Alonso. Everyone's favorite rookie in Formula One, the guy that's like 40 years old. This is
I think he's like 43.
he's done 406 career races in Formula One. His last win was race 203. So he's gone exactly half of his career winless since his last win. So obviously he's not going to win, but there's only 19 drivers in the Drivers' Championship right now because Fernando Alonso has not qualified in either of them.
No, he's not finished.
Not finished. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh, like classification. I see. I see.
Yeah, classified, not qualified. So I think Fernando Alonso getting points is pretty spicy, and I'd love to see him do it.
Bold
Right
statement.
on.
Matt, how bold you going?
Brought out the McLaren for my hot take. I think total McLaren dominance is going to be the theme of the weekend. So not only pole, not only a race win, not only double podium, let's add the fastest pit stop to it. And, if that's not spicy enough for you, I can add on something else.
I was
What about
curious.
fast lap?
Before the
Is
pit
it
stop
only going to
thing,
be 2019 Hamilton?
before the pit stop thing, I didn't
Spicy.
think it was that hot because McLaren has the best car, but Ferrari has been dominating the pit stops. So I guess we'll go for it.
I would say I was also like, when you started talking McLaren, I was like, what could you possibly say that's hot other than them doing like poorly? But yeah, if they go, are we throwing fastest lap in there too? Even though it doesn't count for a point.
That was my initial thought. Yeah, I mean,
total dominance.
Yeah. I mean, it was either going to be that or net lead of the race for every lap, but net lead can be a little bit controversial based off of what people think that the pit stop should be.
You
so.
said double podium. Are you requiring 1-2 for complete total dominance or just double podium?
Well, I mean, the 1-2 is just part of my podium prediction. I'll retain. I think a double
You'll keep
podium,
double
even
podium?
if Oscar
Okay.
gets third, for instance,
that's fair.
would satisfy the hot take, but not my.
Just got to
podium
keep it clear
prediction.
because apparently
But
two teammates
let's-
running into each other isn't clear enough.
Okay, so double podium, no matter where they end up on the podium. Pole, obviously, one of them has to be in first to get the race win. Fastest pit stop, and we can add on fastest lap. Why not?
I respect it. I think that'd be a full team accomplishment. And you base that a little bit off of your podium predictions. I'm basing my spicy hot take off of my P10 prediction. I was talking about Pierre Gasly. I was talking about Alpine being the only team out of the points. I'm doubling down. I am saying Alpine will score points. It'll be only the 3rd race of the year. We had to wait until the 23rd or penultimate race of last year for Kick Sauber to get their only points of the season. So it's certainly when all the reporters, when all the analysts are talking about, this is the closest F1 season ever, and a couple of races in, people are like, oh, but McLaren's dominating. What's special about it? 3 races into the year, I'm going Alpine is scoring and all 10 teams will be on the board, which if that doesn't say that there's competition all up and down the grid, then I don't know what does. So I am locking it in. We are all locking it in because we might not be awake to change our answers because we are still on the complete opposite side of the world. I mentioned it earlier. Qualifying is at 2 a.m. on Saturday if you are on the eastern coast of the United States. If you're in a different time zone, you're going to have to do a little math there. Apologies. And the Grand Prix is at 1 a.m. on Sunday. So stay up late on a Saturday night, have some friends over, pour some sake, get some sushi, get ready for the Japanese Grand Prix. We will be watching all of the action, either live or on demand, but we will definitely be back to talk to you about how it all went down. Did Yuki perform? Did Kimi Antonelli get another top 5? Did Ferrari double disqualify yet again? You will have to check in with us next week for our review episode to find out what happened. Be sure to check us out on all of our socials at Low Downforce Pod, as well as Low Downforce on YouTube if you want to watch along instead of listen along. It's a good time.
We get our link tree
We
up
have fun
on all of our socials.
Josh has a cool Formula One AI background, so worth a visit for sure. But as I said, we will talk to you after the race is over. Until then, stay speedy. Goodbye, everybody.